It's Ash from Super Videos back for another teaser trailer breakdown for an upcoming episode of Fear the Walking Dead. This is my teaser trailer breakdown for Season 6, Episode 15, which is called USS Pennsylvania, which is actually the name of the submarine that we saw in the first episode of Season 6, 601. It's also the exact same submarine that we see on screen here, which is on the trailer. If you remember, in the first episode of Season 6, some of the members of the End is the Beginning group actually spray painted on this submarine, and obviously in the last episode, Teddy revealed to Alicia that he is looking to get the keys in order to get in to the submarine and launch the nuclear missiles that are in there in order to wipe out everything that's above ground, which is exactly why him and his followers are trying to get underground. They're not necessarily looking for a community above ground. There's actually a lot of very interesting stuff in this trailer that I do want to break down, but before we get into it, if you haven't watched the last episode 614 yet, you can still watch this breakdown. It's not gonna spoil anything major for you as far as the last episode is concerned. The only major spoiler I would say is what happened at the very end, which isn't really a major spoiler because it's exactly where we are right now, just a little bit of a different circumstance. For those of you who have watched the episode know what I'm talking about, so I do want to put out a spoiler warning. If you haven't watched the episode yet, you may not want to watch this video. With that said, stay tuned, we'll be right back to break it down. Alright, before we get into this, as always, if you're not a subscriber and enjoy the content by the end, consider subscribing to join our community. We're actually on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed and enjoy what you see, make sure to subscribe to help me get there. Also, don't forget to share and smash the like button, press the bell button to be notified when there's uploads on the channel. With that said, let's dive right into this breakdown. So this teaser starts with this shot of Morgan picking up his axe. Obviously, this is the exact same axe that he put on the ground earlier this season, and it was kind of his way of saying, I choose peace over violence after they defeated Ginny. But obviously the fact that he's picking it up means that peace is not an option and that he's basically going to have to fight back in order to defeat Teddy and his cult. So that's the significance of this particular shot here. And then we have this shot of Teddy talking. He says, things are just about to get started, which I'm assuming has to do with his master plan and him getting his hands on the submarine and the nuclear warhead in there. He's basically saying things are about to get started. He's about to launch the nuclear missiles inside the submarine. And then we have this shot of inside the submarine. We have a walker in there who I'm assuming is one of the workers of the submarine. Now, I don't know too much about submarines, but I'm assuming that what they're showing here has something to do with the entrance to the main area where they're able to launch the nuclear missiles into the command center, you could say. And then we have this shot of Morgan riding out of his community. The next shot we have is actually everyone riding and driving towards a particular location. I'm assuming they're going to the area where the submarine is. We actually do see later on in this teaser that everyone's gonna be there, so I'm assuming that this is just them getting to that location. So we obviously have Strand there, we have June there, we have Morgan there, we have Sherry's group there. I'm assuming we actually have everyone there. I could be wrong, some people may have stayed behind, but as far as the fighters of the group, I think everyone's gonna be there. The next shot we have is actually this interesting shot of Teddy handing out one of the two keys to Riley. For those of you that don't know, when we have a nuclear arsenal, either a submarine that has it, like in this case, there's typically two keys that are required to initiate the process of launching that particular nuclear missile. What probably happened is Teddy had one of the keys, he didn't have the other one, and he was after that key, which he got from Morgan. And now that he has his hands on both of these keys, he's able to initiate the nuclear missiles from the submarine. So that's extremely intriguing. It's gonna be interesting to see whether he's successful in doing so. This trailer makes it seem like he is, but we're gonna have to wait and find out. Also, the synopsis of the final episode makes it seem like we did have a massive explosion going off. And then we have this shot of Dakota. She says, "Does everyone know that they are gonna die?" I'm assuming that she's referring to everyone above ground, but I could be wrong. But obviously she's inside what I'm assuming is the command center, inside the submarine. And then we have this shot of June, Rabbi Jacob, and John Dory Sr. This is most likely when they're on their way to the area where the submarine is. And then we have this shot of Luciana, Sarah, and Rabbi Jacob with the SWAT truck in the background. And then we have this shot of Grace, the guy from Sherry's group, and the girl whose husband died earlier this season, I believe, with her baby. And then we have this shot of Dwight and Sherry on the horse. Again, this is just everyone on their way to the submarine location, or they're actually at the submarine location. Now, there's something very interesting that might be coming up with Dwight. I'm not gonna get into that here. I'll do a separate video on that. But if that ends up happening, then that means that Dwight may not actually survive this season. So it's gonna be interesting to see whether there's any significant clues or Easter eggs in this episode pointing towards Dwight's death. The next shot we have is actually Morgan telling Strand, "So you ready to do this?" Obviously, they're about to engage in a very risky plan to confront Teddy and his group at the submarine site. Now, obviously, they don't have a choice at this point, but it's a massive undertaking for them to go through with it. Because obviously, if they're inside the submarine, there's only so much that Morgan and his group can do from the outside. And then we have this shot, which is pretty much everyone in the area where the submarine is. So we have Victor Strand and Morgan at the forefront and everyone else behind them. Now, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, this is the exact same submarine that we saw in 601. It's the one where the members of the End is the Beginning group spray painted on. And then we have this shot of Riley looking at some computer screens. This is obviously inside the command center. And then Teddy says, "How are we looking, Riley?" To which he replies, 2 minutes. So that means that in 2 minutes, they expect the missiles to go off. So that's extremely interesting. And then we have this shot. Not exactly sure what this is, but I'm assuming it has something to do with the initiation of the missiles going off. I could be wrong about that. And then we have this shot of someone putting one of the 2 keys that we saw earlier inside the lock. So they're unlocking it, and I'm assuming this is the exact same time when the missiles are going to be launched. And then we have this shot of alarms going off, and then these 2 alarms saying armed. So the nuclear warheads have been armed at this point. And then we have this shot of Teddy on the radio. Now I'm assuming that he's actually talking to people outside on the radio. He may be negotiating with them, or they may be trying to talk him out of doing what he's about to do, meaning Morgan and his group. So I'm assuming that's why Teddy has the radio. I'm assuming at this point, all of Teddy's group are either underground in the bunkers that we saw at the end of the last episode where Alicia was locked up, or they're actually inside the submarine itself. So most likely all of them are safe, but the people outside may not be. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and how it all goes down, because obviously based on this teaser, it seems like they armed the nuclear warheads. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can reverse it, or whether they can negotiate with Teddy and his group or something along those lines. But that's pretty much everything that I wanted to go through in this breakdown. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to share and smash the like button. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to join our community. Like I said, we're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. So if you want to help me get there, make sure to subscribe. Also, don't forget to share and smash the like button and press the bell to be notified when there's uploads on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.